Okay, now let's take a look at how we measure current in a series circuit. I'm going to turn my power supply on over here, set it to 12 volts, plug my power supply in here, into the circuit. Now I have a complete circuit, and I'm going to have the ability to measure current at any point. Now remember that key point in all series circuit is that current is the same everywhere. So wherever I measure, as long as I'm hooking my meter in correctly, I should measure the same thing. If not, I know something is wrong. Let it be the meter, let it be the circuit, let it be a resistor. More than likely I've hooked up something wrong if that's the case. So again, as with all meters, when you go to measure current, you have to move the meter into its proper spot. My power source is DC, so I'm going to go to DC amps here, and I'm going to want to measure from every spot to make sure I understand the concept that in a series circuit, current is the current is the current. Okay, so anywhere I measure, I should get the same thing. Now, remember when we go to measure current, the main rule is you have to break the circuit. You have to break the circuit. So, again, I don't know how much current I'm going to get because I haven't sat down and done the math. I just am focusing on taking the measurements. So I take my current measurement, I turn it to its highest setting, and I'm going to break the circuit first at my positive power supply. I take my red lead. I'm going to tie those together in their own separate junction. Okay? Then I'm going to reconnect the circuit with the black wire coming from there, from the meter. So, my current flows through my negative, through my resistive series network, through here into my meter where it's actually going to be reading the amount of current that's flowing, through here into this junction, from there back to my power supply, completing the circuit. Now, I'm set here, I'm set at my highest 2 amp range, and I'm at 0.011. That reading is correct, but probably not as accurate as I'd like it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it one more time, and I'm going to be at 11.7 milliamps. Now, it's below the next range, which is 20 milliamps. So that means I can actually go one lower and get a more accurate reading. All right, and you can see that in this case it just happens to be exactly the same, 11.70 milliamps. So that's 0.0117 amps if I were to convert it, which I would have to do if I'm going to put it into a calculator to help me figure out what my voltage drops should be in the circuit. So this is how we break the circuit if we want to take a current measurement in a series circuit. This is the first way we can do it. There are a number of other ways to do it, and let's take a look at those. So I want to disconnect my circuit, reconnect my circuit to here. Now, I want to break my circuit at the next junction. So I'm going to break it at this junction here. So I unplug my resistor, and I plug it into an empty junction box. So at this point, no current is actually flowing through the circuit because I broke the circuit. Now, I come, I rehook the circuit back up, keeping my red as close to my red as I can, my black as close as to my black here, and now I should be reading, hopefully, very close to the where I was the first time. At this point, I'm reading 11.68 to 69 milliamps, which is definitely close enough to my first range. Give or take some of the things that will just be bouncing around because, again, some of this equipment is a little bit older. So that is exactly how we're going to go about taking another measurement inside of the circuit. Now, I go ahead, I reconnect the circuit back up, all right, I'm going to disconnect the circuit here at a different point. Now again, I want to keep my black lead as close to my black as I can. My red lead from my meter is close to my red lead. I plug it in, and look, I'm back on to being exactly at 11.7 milliamps. So I disconnect it. Always make sure you reconnect your circuit. A lot of my students make that mistake. Not so much in this type of circuit, well sometimes in this circuit, they disconnect it, they hook their meter up correctly, then they go to take the measurement at another point, but they forget to reconnect it back up, and then they don't know why they're not getting a reading. So I want to come to my, my negative power lead, plug that into an empty junction, hook my black lead into here, plug my red lead into here, and again, I'm definitely within that range of 11.6 milliamps. This is bouncing around a little bit, and my leads might not be connected in there. Oh, there we go. We're getting back up to where we want to be. About 11.64, which is definitely within any range that I would assume any fundamentals of electricity teacher would accept. Definitely acceptable in my class in this case. And this is how we measure current in a series circuit.